So you guys know that I'm moving, and like one of the issues with moving was like what the hell to do with a lot of like my supplements. And then like I was really concerned about my meat. I was really concerned about my Piedmontese meat because and he was like, "Oh, we'll just bring it all up to the gym." And I was like, "We can't do that. We can't let everybody have this meat. This meat's too good." And we did bring some of it up here for some of the guys and girls to enjoy, but I was like, man, we gotta get it over to the other freezer
as quick as possible,
as quick as we can, even if I need to drive my ass over there for it.
Yeah, the family's been huge fans of the sliders. I've been throwing those on the grill and the smoker. I tried even taking one apart and like shoving like cheddar cheese in the middle.
Ooh.
It was okay. It didn't work out fantastically.
They sometimes do that with sometimes they do it with like cheese. They stuff it inside of a burger. It's kind of hard to do.
I learned that I can't figure it out. It's like not as simple as like A plus B equals C. It's like you have to figure stuff out, and I don't know how to do it.
There's a lot of math.
Maybe you need to melt it, put it in a syringe, and inject it into the meat.
I don't do syringes, bro.
You need to carry the one. Maybe that's what you forgot to do.
I never carry the one. I always forget. I never show my work. I just Google it, and then I get in trouble for just getting the answer.
I'm trying to use a cheat code.
I still get it wrong.
It happens.
Yeah. I've been enjoying those ribeyes still, and enjoying the fillets, and Piedmontese been good to me, and hopefully they can be good for you guys. Andrew, how can they get a deal? How can they get hooked up?
Well, if they're smart enough, they can carry the one, and Piedmontese will be there to help you out. Head over to Piedmontese.com. That's Piedmontese.com. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject, and that'll get you 25% off your entire order. And if it's $99 or more, you get free 2-day shipping. Yeah.
A lot of times when people go on a ketogenic diet, a lot of times they feel like crap, and they feel like they got no treats in their life, and they get miserable and they get sad. But Perfect Keto has your back. They have really good, they got really good bars. They got really good tasting collagen protein, a really good whey protein that I think all you guys will enjoy. And then on top of that, a lot of times people feel like crap because they're getting dehydrated, right?
Yeah, those electrolytes are really, really good. I love those because especially, I fast a lot. So I need to be able to have those between, lifting or jiu-jitsu. So those are pretty damn awesome.
Simple. How can they get hooked up with some Perfect Keto products, Andrew?
They can head over to perfectketo.com/powerproject. When you guys go to that link, you'll see some of our favorites, and we've talked about all the time, the Perfect Keto Nootropic. I am completely out of it because my fiance and I keep killing it every single day. So I got to order up some more of that. So anyways, head over to perfectketo.com/powerproject. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject, and that'll get you 15% off all Perfect Keto products.
Because we're moving, I don't know where anything is at the moment. And so my daughter this morning, she's like, "Oh my God, I forgot to pack my lunch." She's like, "Can you help me?" And I'm like, "No, I'm trying to get myself organized to like get out of the house too." She just makes this sad face, and she's like, "I'll just bring a bunch of these chips." And she grabs a bunch of Quest chips and stuffs them in her bag. I was like, I guess that's going to be the way it is for today.
Moving is tough.
Yeah.
I do feel like there is some aspect of it that's kind of cool, or like you are almost like camping. Like you're like, I wouldn't normally eat dinner out of like a plastic bowl or whatever, but like, cool. Since we're moving, I can't get out the good dishes and whatnot.
Yeah, you're all confused on where everything is. Luckily, Andy's super organized, so she's been on top of all that. But it's just like this one day, know. And then this morning, I was trying to find some socks. And she's like, "Don't look in that." She goes, "Don't look in that." She goes, "Don't look in that bucket." She's like, "That's all mismatched socks." And I was like, "I can figure it out." So right now I'm actually wearing one black sock and one green sock because I was like, I can at least match up the types. It'll be the same. Might be some different colors.
Amazing.
Anyway, with my life in some disarray, I'm still able to reach for some Quest bars and some of the other Quest products we have around the house. Been eating some of that Quest pizza and all that good stuff. So how can they get hooked up with some Quest products, Andrew?
You guys can head over to questnutrition.com. At checkout, enter promo code MarksQuest for 20% off. And I highly recommend you do it on the Quest chips. Listener of the show hit me up and said that they tried the, I think it's like chili lime or something like that.
Hey.
And he's like, "Dude, these are insane." I'm like, I told you guys, even though I to be honest, I haven't had that flavor yet, but I'm sure it's amazing because I've had all the other ones. So that's where I would go with that 20% off code is straight to the chips.
He doesn't know it, but if we keep his microphone off.
Smart. Can't be good looking and
that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to try to knock him down somehow.
Yeah. That'll teach him.
You fire me like every week, so I think that
That's
does
happened.
the job.
Happened a lot.
If you're not getting fired, you're not working hard enough.
That's true.
You have to be getting fired almost daily.
Well, it even gets better. It'd be really easy to kick his ass because he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu fucked me up recently, man.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's why I got all these tears for.
What happened in jiu-jitsu?
So get this.
Were you like going for it? Were you going too hard?
Well, I don't know if you want to say it for the show or maybe the show's already
It's
started.
going, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're in.
So I do these 6-week challenges, right? And I started doing them because I felt like I was living a little too comfortable in life. So in 2010, I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna train for 6 weeks and run a full marathon. Previous to that, I was like, God's made me into a weightlifter. I'm designed to lift weights. And I put myself in that box, right? I'm a meathead, not designed to run. And how many times do we say that? Oh, I'm not designed to dance. I'm not made for this. I'm not good at that. Mm-hmm. So I was that guy. I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur and I lift weights. I'm like, you know what? I can do whatever the fuck I want. So I started to challenge myself. 6-week challenges, train for 6 weeks, hire a coach, run a marathon, hire a coach, train for 6 weeks, overcome my fear of rock climbing or heights, right? Train for 6 weeks with an MMA fighter at the time. He was the welterweight king of the cage champion, Aaron Weatherspoon, which that actually came in really handy at week number. So 6 weeks, and then 6 weeks we get in the cage together, and he just pummeled me, which was useless. But at least I learned how to take a hit. But on week 8, so 2 weeks after that challenge ended, me, the wife, and the kids are in Maui. A week goes by, and now we're flying back. All of a sudden, about an hour into the flight over the Great Pacific, some motherfucker's having a meltdown up front. And the flight attendant's like, that guy's a flight risk. He's threatening to blow this plane up. And my wife and I look at each other, and he's just like, about 5 seats in front of us, like foaming at the mouth, going nuts. Everyone's just completely created a circle around him. No one wants to sit around him. And the flight attendants come down the aisle with zip ties linked together. And I look at the guy sitting behind my wife. So we're divided by an aisle. It's me and my son, Andrew, Diana, and Chloe. And I look at him like, we're going to fuck this motherfucker up, right? Because my kids aren't dying. I travel a lot. When I travel, nothing happens, man. And I'm with my wife and kids, and now some motherfucker's going to take down the plane. And I'm thinking this is post 9/11. We got it. Like the whole plane, we're all going to dogpile him. So the story gets better when I stop the lady. I'm like, ma'am, anything me and this guy can do to help? She goes, no. By law, we have to ask him to put these on. Did you know that? So if you ever go nuts on an airplane, by law, they have to ask you to put on the zip cuffs. And if you don't, then she panics and starts waving you over. And so we get up and we come running over. And the dude goes, what the fuck are you going to do? And he goes to shove me. And I go, my mind went right to what Aaron would do. I just got out of the way and got him in a rear naked chokehold. And it worked. Now, I say it worked because when I would do it on Aaron, I kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, this motherfucker's just faking it. Like, okay, he's like making the sounds, right? Because I'm paying him to coach me.
Yeah.
This is fake. Like, he's getting me in real chokeholds, but I'm probably not getting him in a real chokehold. Yeah. It fucking worked. And the guy just went down. I just kept talking in ears like, hey, man, no one's going to die on this plane today. Like, just be fucking cool. And every time I would loosen up, he would start like a galloping horse, right? So he'd just start bucking again, start fucking tighten up again. And he just went limp. We zip tied him, and everyone clapped. We got free wine and hummus. And then, yeah. But it was only just the two of us. Like the whole plane.
Not everybody was in on it.
No, man. I'm like, you motherfuckers. Like there's other kids. There's like old ladies. Like they don't want to die. But anyway, I don't know. Maybe he was on drugs.
I'm sure a bunch of other guys on that plane like had like a war story. Like I got involved. I stepped on his head. I helped him get him down and everything.
Yeah. So me and this dude spent the rest of the flight rotating, sitting next to him, way in the back, away from the.
And then you guys threw him out of the plane naturally.
right. That's when
50,000 feet.
Yeah. And then LAPD came in and did their thing when we landed. But so my most recent challenge was jiu-jitsu, and I was getting hired. This guy named Peter Sutton, just an amazing 4th degree black belt.
This is what rich people do, by the way. He sits around and is like, what can I do to make my life miserable and hard?
Do I want to hunt a rhino or do I want to do jiu-jitsu?
These are the problems that we're facing.
I know the rhino's endangered, but I'm rich. No, that's not me. So anyway, training with Peter, 2 hours at a time, 3 times a week for 6 weeks. And at the last session at 6 weeks, session number 12, he brings in a blue belt who was a former wrestler turned jiu-jitsu.
Oh.
First of all, I learned what the bicep slicer is, and you being in jiu-jitsu would know. But in the process, and you also know this, that as strong as you can be, a lot of it is leverage and cuffing on the sleeve and the this and the that. But when I only have been doing this for 6 weeks, I am the white belt who's just trying to muscle my way through. And so as he would get me in the key lock or whatever, and the adrenaline's pumping, I'm just trying to muscle my way out, and so I don't feel the pain. Afterwards is when I felt it. So we went 3 rounds. I was able to actually choke the guy out once, because I was able to do the what's it called, the sprawl, which is effectively a burpee. And since I'm a trainer, I know what a burpee is. And so when coach taught me the sprawl, and I did outweigh this guy by 30 pounds. And being a wrestler, he shot at me. I was like, oh, I see. I just burpee on his ass. And so I did the sprawl, and I got in there. I did the, what do they call it? The white belt hold, or with the white belt hug. Yeah. There's a term that the term against white belts that we just
a little bit like a guillotine, maybe?
I'm guessing it was like kind of like a guillotine,
like
since you're on top of him.
Yes, I'm
right?
on top of him. Then I grab one collar and then the other, and off I went. And I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. Again, I'm always doubting myself. Like when coach did it, it worked on me. I was like, right? And then this motherfucker slowly like, and I see he's not fighting, and then he taps. I'm like, holy shit, it worked. Yeah. So anyway, but in the process, I tore a pec and rotator. So chest workouts and shoulder workouts have been shitty lately. Yeah.
Yeah, it puts a lot of limitations on you once you have something like that. Have you been able to do like push-ups or anything like that?
No, dude. Well, elbows in, real shitty.
We're gonna throw you in a slingshot and see what happens.
Yeah.
We're gonna try this afterwards. Maybe load you up on a bunch of mind bullet too.
Yeah, I still got one more to take.
You know, I've heard your story a bunch of different times, told a bunch of different ways, saw some of your speaking engagements, saw you on various podcasts and stuff. And I feel like there's a little blip in time that I would like to talk about maybe a little bit more, and we'll uncover your entire story as well. But there's a period of time where you were a personal trainer, and then you talk about getting into owning gyms, and then it kind of seems like it boom, and then Total Body Fitness comes along, and
fit body boot camp,
fit body boot
Total
camp.
Body Fitness.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start that too.
Fit body boot camp comes along, and whammo, you're off to the races, right? So tell us a little bit about that time as a personal trainer. There's a lot of people that listen to this podcast. I've been a personal trainer myself. He's been a personal trainer. How do you go from personal trainer into owning a gym into owning multiple gyms?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, that whole journey was about a decade. It just, for most people, see, no one sees you in the trenches. Like no one saw when I was a personal trainer at LA Fitness in La Habra making $11.50 an hour, and a busboy and fry cook at Disneyland, and on the weekends a bouncer at a gay bar, because the gay bar paid more than the straight bar, because skinheads would come to gay bash. And so you're given fights like every fucking night.
Jeez.
And I'm not a fighter. That's the crazy thing. But I was big and commanding. I used a lot of supplements from Mexico back then, and I was big and commanding. And so they're like, "Hey, you'll make a good bouncer." I'm like, "But I can talk my way out of any fight." Like
At that point in your life where you're maybe more aggressive,
dude,
did you have some fight in you?
Yeah. I mean, certainly I've gotten into fights. I've been in trouble with the law years before, but by this point, I was 25, 26. I'm like, you know what? Because by the age of 18, I was already getting in helicopter police chases. My friends and I am not proud of this, would do home invasion robberies. I was with the wrong group of guys, but I needed a group to fit in with. And so, and I justified that by, I'm not going into homes. I'm the getaway driver. I'm just waiting outside for my friends who are going to go get something from that house. Like, it's weird what you can justify in your mind. And one day, the home wasn't empty. Some woman was in there, some lady, older lady. And here's how the story goes on that, and I'll go back into this because these two dots are connected. I would work out I loved working out. And my friends come running out like, "Get the fuck out of here, let's go." I'm like, what's the rush? We've done this before. Like, why are you empty-handed, right? Is what's running through my mind. Turns out there was a woman that they interrupted in there, and we thought the home was empty. So I'm hauling ass. And you can only haul ass so much in a 1979 Toyota pickup. Yeah. And so keep in mind, I'm 18. They've now been seen. I haven't. She hasn't seen my face. So as the police helicopter is chasing us through parts of Anaheim down the 5 freeway, now I see cops surrounding my car. I'm like, I've got nowhere to go. So I'm like, guys, I'm going to pull into the gas station here off the exit, and everyone run your own way. There was no running, man. You pull in, and literally they just come and wedge your door shut, and they're pulling you out the window and the back of the truck for the guys. And we're all on the ground. They bring the lady in a car, in a squad car, and she points out, him, and then looks at me and then shakes her head no. Doesn't recognize me because I was the getaway driver.
Your boys didn't rat you out?
No.
Ooh.
No. And so I was like, this is a sign from above. I'm fucking done. This is it. I love fitness so much. I'm going to go be a personal trainer, right? I'll just work in the gym. That was the awakening for me. And so, of course, being a personal trainer, $11.50 an hour, didn't know how to sell, didn't know how to close. So that's the trenches for our industry, man. For a personal trainer, that's the trenches. I had 4 personal training clients and then working as a bouncer, like I said, in a fry cook at Disneyland. And one of my personal training clients, his name is Jim Franco, he'd always go like, dude, what does it matter with you? Like Monday mornings, you're just exhausted, you're tired. Like, I love you as a trainer, but you gotta fucking bring the energy. I'm like, Jim, don't you understand? All weekend long, I worked at Disneyland during the day, and at night, I'm working as a bouncer. I'm exhausted. I went to bed 3 hours ago, and I'm up here training you. He's like, well, that's because you don't know how to sell. I'm like, I beg to differ. I sold you 6 months of personal training. He goes, no, you didn't. You were the order taker. I came in here looking for 6 months of training. You just wrote my order up like a waitress. He didn't even say waiter, right? Jim at the time was 63 years old. I just did an interview with him on my podcast. He's 76 now. He came to my HQ. I was literally emotional. Yeah, like he's like the rich dad, right? Compared to my poor dad, who brought us here from Soviet Union. And so I go, well, what do you want me to do? He goes, I'm going to teach you how to sell so that you can quit those side jobs. And he literally taught me how to sell by bringing in Brian Tracy cassette tapes, Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, all the guys, right? And it was like this awakening of, oh my gosh, I'm an expert at what I do, but no one's going to know it unless I know how to sell them. So all of a sudden I find myself quitting the bouncer job, and I found myself in a position where building enough confidence, had enough clients where I was now selling clients and then handing them off to other trainers, right? And I realized, I'm like, hey, Jim, I think I want to open up my own personal training studio. He said, great, I'll fund it for you. I'll be your business partner. You're going to pay me back my money, 8% interest, and then we're still 50-50 business partners. Now, the young man back then did not realize that I was being ripped off. The way Jim mentored me was just through harsh words and harsh deeds, right? And I love him for it till this day. Everyone's like, wait, you paid him back and he still got 50% of the profits every month? Every fucking month, yes. But I opened the next 4 gyms on my own with my own money. And I was like, holy smokes. Then in comes, and this was in North County, San Diego. And by this point now, we're like 2001.
How old are you at this point?
29. Whew. Yeah. I felt like I was the mayor of North County, San Diego. Cops pulled me over like, oh, hey, Bedros, my wife trains at your place. Yeah, Premier Results. Yeah, of course. Judges, lawyers, right? Like I was connected, right? And I was just getting pulled over for speeding, not like doing anything stupid. No more home invasions. And so this chain of gyms who we've signed a non-disclosure, so I can't say who they are, but they were expanding through Southern California. Hey, we want to buy your 5 gyms. I'm like, Jim Franco, what do I do? He's like, find out what offer they're going to make you. So anyway, long story short, they make me an offer I couldn't refuse. Before you know it, by 2002, I've sold my gyms. And now I'm coaching and consulting personal trainers, teaching them how I built out my gyms, how I ran my business, how I got clients, how I paid my trainers. And it's everything that Jim taught me that I'm teaching them. And the internet's starting to pop off now, right? There's really no Google yet. There's no pay-per-click. Well, Google was coming around, but there was no like pay-per-click ads, Facebook, any of that stuff. So it was blogs and email lists. And so I started, I had 1,400 trainers on my email list within the first 2 years. Now it's 2005. I'm coaching them, consulting them. They're paying me. And so as 2005, 6, 7 come around, a few thousand trainers on my email list, helping them out. Economy crashes in 2008. Now the one-on-one personal trainers that I was coaching and consulting, they're like, dude, I don't have any more clients. And so I can't be your client. I'm like, you can't not do that. You can't do that. I don't want to go live with my wife and kids in my parents' house, right? I just bought a nice home in Chino Hills, man. Stop that. But sure enough, I'm like, this economy's going to fuck me up. And so I saw these outdoor boot camps happening. And I was like, there's something here. If I can just take this outdoor boot camp, bring it indoors, and make it weatherproof. I mean, how are people in Michigan, Nebraska doing outdoor boot camps in the winter? They're not. So they have to stop their training. So Southern California, maybe Florida, but everywhere else, you can't do outdoor boot camps year round. So long story short, I bring it indoors. By 2010, I realized this is an actual legit indoor model. Like we've got locations at that point doing $18,000 to $20,000 of my own. And then we said, well, now we're going to start franchising. By 2012, we franchised. Now we're seeing numbers that are just ridiculous, like single locations doing $1 million a year.
Wow.
Right. And that's not the standard. Like the average Fit Body Bootcamp will do anywhere from $25,000 to $35,000 a month. But when you have a location doing $80,000 a month, which is $1 million a year, it's like, holy smokes, did I underestimate this? And so here we are coming on to 800 locations now. But we franchised in 2012, here around 2019. And it's been a hell of a journey. But no one sees the busboy, the freaking bouncer era, the struggling as a personal trainer. They just see man, you're an overnight success. It is an overnight success after 15 years.
Yeah, it took a long time. It's all really just, that's such a cool story. With Fit Body Bootcamp, do you actually have gyms, or are they, or is it just people? Are you franchising? Giving personal trainers, I guess, more access to more clients?
Good question. So they're actual gyms, like brick and mortars, with a sign on top. We have the complete design.
Right.
Yeah. So we build it. We help them build it out, find a lease, sign a lease, run their marketing for them. Everything that I didn't want to do as a personal trainer when I had my own gym. Back in my day, I was putting out lead boxes, right? Yeah, there it is. Right. So back in my day, I was putting out lead boxes to get leads. Now we give away 1 free week. And then once a client opts in on that website for a free week, they're sold 28 days for $77. And then that gym now has them for 28 days, and they can close them on a 12-month program that I teach them how to sell a 12-month program.
What's a model look like currently? Like how much space and things like that are you kind of looking for?
Good question. So the average Fit Body Bootcamp right now is 3,000 square feet. And as you see, no mirrors. Why? Because their clients are 80% women. They don't want to see themselves in the mirror. Like that's one of the factors that intimidate them. So I know my demographic better than anyone else does. And so the only men that come are usually the husbands, the brothers, the co-workers. So we market
someone
to women.
To encourage.
Yeah, we market to women, but welcome men. So if we have 80% women, like I know our women have had at least 2 kids. They're 35 years or older. When they do any kind of jumping jacks, burpees, or anything impactful, they pee a little bit. When they sneeze, they pee a little bit, right? Because of the birthing process, right? Things have loosened up down there. So the point is we know what they like, and we train them like athletes on what we call the 4-station rotation. As you see in that video, it's 4 stations that they rotate through 30 minutes. Carpet bonded foam flooring that's antibacterial, and so they can just hit the deck and do a plank and then get right back up, do renegade rows on TRX straps, and then go right to the rope station, battle ropes. In 30 minutes, they just turn off their brain. The coach takes them through a workout. And then we also do the nutrition coaching, monthly fitness evaluations, everything that a personal trainer does, but in a group environment. And where else are you going to get results like this, as we're seeing on the screen there, but for $147 a month? Like you used to pay a trainer $600 a month to work out 4 or 5 days a week. And that's $147 a month, and you're part of a community.
I think that that's a great way for anybody listening to this right now. Is a great way for people to make money is to figure out a way to eliminate yourself. Think about a way to try to optimize something and try to make it more for the masses, like this product here. That's a great way of doing it. What I'm seeing in the video is great, because I'm seeing a lot of people that probably wouldn't normally have like just weights in their hands.
Right.
And I think that this is extremely empowering for people when they grab a hold of the 20-pound kettlebell. Like they're not thinking that they're strong at all. They're like, I'm not a lifting person. Like you said earlier, you put yourself in a box. Like I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like I can't pick up that 40-pound kettlebell or whatever. And here these ladies are, doing it, picking up kettlebells and free weights and using the battle ropes and all those kinds of things. Really cool.
Another,
We've been really fortunate enough to create an environment for these women where they build their confidence as they lose fat and build muscle. Yeah.
Another thing is like the community aspect of it. I think is like the super powerful part, because like, you know, doing jujitsu, there's always a big group of people there every time we go, right? If there's ever a time that like I miss it, I'll get some messages like the next day, Nsima, where the hell were you, bro? Like, why aren't you training right now? Get back in here.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming like all these women are friends and they're encouraging each other.
Dude, you nailed it. And I'll tell you why. My wife goes to the 5:30 a.m. session. We don't even call them classes. They're sessions because personal trainers run sessions. Gyms give away free classes. So if you're like, oh, what time are your classes? Oh, we don't have classes. We have sessions. My wife goes to the 5:30 morning session in Chino Hills because we have a Fit Body Boot Camp out there. And I'm like, babe, like, we own the franchise. Like, you don't have to work. You can go to a later one, you know. She's like, no. Then me and the ladies go to Starbucks afterwards, and then we talk about the Lululemon and the athletic gear. Like, it's a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing. And I realize, like, you know, like the gyms that we work out in, or maybe in jiu-jitsu afterwards, you hang out and then you shoot the shit. And we are tribal animals as humans. We're tribal. And so they do their tribal thing. And I realize it's so much more powerful than one-on-one personal training, because you've got a crew of people holding you accountable, saying, where were you, man? We missed you. And that's, and then the competitive factor, right? When you're in a group environment like that, whether it's jiu-jitsu or group training, you're just going to push yourself a little bit more than the person to your left and right. And that stacked over years produces tremendous results.
Yeah. And I think the other big aspect is you're lowering the barrier of entry, like super, super low, making it available to anybody and everybody. And I think that's super important. So I love that aspect.
Yeah. One thing that as we started to talk to our franchisees, our owners, they said that the two things people love is that it's convenient and affordable. And I realized, oh, shoot, you're right. Because as a one-on-one personal trainer, and I'm guessing all three of us have done that in here, maybe all four of us. Well, if you're training 5 days a week with me at 5:30 in the morning, that time slot's full. That's it. You got to either do 5 or 6, right? But now at 5:30 in the morning, we can get 35 people in a session with one coach. Like, that is nuts. And the affordability factor is nuts. Now we can help more people in the community. And so, I don't know, as a coach, like, that really turns me on, because at the end of the day, I just want to impact more lives. Yeah.
And anyone that's listening to this right now that's been married or married and has children, I'm sure you've gotten this look before. You ever get this, like, that crazy evil eye from your wife that she's going to, like, kill you in your sleep?
Oh, yes.
Well, that look, guys, that you're getting from your girlfriend or your wife is a sign that you need to figure out a way to get her some time with her friends.
Yeah.
And you need to say, honey, like, can you go hang out with your sister? Or, like, can I watch the kids so you can go do something? And this kind of tribal thing you're talking about them getting together and kind of having this time together is huge. And it's huge for men too. But I've noticed that, like, with my own wife, she needs to, you know, go swimming with her friends, and then maybe afterwards she has coffee, and it just makes everything at home a lot easier and a lot smoother. And I get in a lot less trouble.
The more they do their tribal stuff, you're right, the better your life gets.
Yeah, it makes everything a lot smoother.
Agreed.
You know, growing up with such a tough background and growing up the way that you did, and having a family that was really devoted to getting you here to the United States to provide a better opportunity, it must have been horrible to end up in these situations where you were a criminal, where you were robbing people. That must have been, like, I understand it's something you did and you ran with the wrong crowd, but that must have been really hard to transition from. And that must have, like, let your dad down and your family down tremendously, right? That must have broke your heart in some ways.
That I wasn't so much, I remember trying to get away in that 79 Toyota pickup. And it wasn't like, oh man, what if I go to jail? Because now I'm 18, right? I'm an adult. What if I go to jail? It was, my dad is going to be so disappointed. Like, he risked his life because he was a member of the Communist Party. And so the story was that we're taking a family vacation to Italy, where my mom has a sister, which she doesn't. Because he bribed.
I like his style already.
Yeah. He bribed the Soviet government and said, you know, so there's a couple officials who were like, wink, wink. They knew we were going to Italy on a vacation, so we had to make it look like that. So we couldn't even take any of our stuff from Armenia with us. And I was 6 years old. My brother was 19, my sister 22. I'm the oops baby, as it is. My parents recently admitted that too, and they admitted it to my wife. I'm like, hey, honey, look, there's 14-year difference between me and my closest sibling.
They're gonna have to cough up the information here.
And like every time I would ask, like, no, if we love you very much, you know, I'm like, yeah, I know you love me, but was I an accident? No, we love you very much, right? It was like, but was I an accident, motherfucker? Right? And so my wife, who's American, my mom just loves her to pieces. And so one day they're in the kitchen doing the thing, and Diana asks, and she's like, yeah, we thought we could not have babies, and so the husband let it rip, and off, then he got right. Oh shit, I was an accident, I know it. It's obvious. So
I have the same conversation with my parents. My brother and sister are 8 and 9 years older than me.
See?
And so I'm like, oh, so what happened? And then my mom goes, don't worry about it. You were all accidents. I'm like, oh, thanks, Mom.
I love that.
That's
Yeah, for some reason, like, well, if you're all accidents, it makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
Somehow that made me feel better.
But dude, my dad was a member of the Communist Party. He bribes the communist government, the 2 officials in it, to let us escape. And because we're going on vacation to Italy, quote unquote, we can't even take a lot of our shit with us. So we just has 2 suitcases for a family of 5, which makes sense if you're going to come back in a couple weeks. Well, then we go to the American consul in Italy, and we're like, hey, we're communists. We're escaping the Soviet Union. My dad's like, I'll give you all the information you need. And of course, this is 1980. And so, there's already the war, the Cold War between U.S. and the Russians. And so they pumped my dad for information for 10 days. And then they legally let us enter the United States. And my dad, he's alive and kicking these days. So is my mom. They're both in their 80s. My dad always makes sure, he goes, whether you're on TV, you write your book, he's still hardcore communist mentality by way of he doesn't ask me, he tells me what. He goes, you always let him know that we enter this country legally. And that's important to him because of the risk that he put himself against. And he believes that when you enter any country legally that you want to live in by choice, you will serve that country better than entering it illegally. And I know that always creates waves when I say that. I believe that too. This isn't any immigration bullshit that I'm talking about. It's just, I know from firsthand experience, we love this country. Many of my friends call me, you're one of the best Americans I know, and you weren't even born here. I'm like, thank you.
Well, things can't be handed to you. They got to be earned. And when you earn it the right way, right? It's a different way of passage than just trying to get here whatever way you can, right?
Exactly. And you know what? I don't blame anyone that's trying to get here in any way they can. Yeah. This is such an amazing country, man. This country will give you, people piss on it and they take a knee for the
right. National anthem.
The fact that you can take a knee,
right?
Because where I come from, you get shot. Yep. Does that make sense? You get shot. The fact that you can say impeach Trump, you get killed if you say that about Putin.
Yeah.
People don't even realize that. Take a knee. But be grateful for the fact that you're taking a fucking knee.
Mm-hmm. Well, and are you a member of the Communist Party? You don't really have much of a choice in saying yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess you could say no, but
oh my God, dude. So they gave him that. They gave him that option, right? And he said it was 1972, and they're like, "Hey, his name is Grigor. Grigor, congratulations. We'd like to offer you the opportunity to be a member of the Communist Party." So only 18% of the country's population at the time was a member of the party. And once you're a Communist Party member, you get this red, what looks like a passport, but it's red with the CCP, which in Russian is USSR, or in English it's USSR. And he could go into any store and audit them because everybody, all businesses are communist businesses, right? And so the people working, you don't own the store, you work in the store. So people would always steal stuff under the table, whether it's bread or meat or clothing, whatever the kind of store was. And he would go in there and audit them. And of course, the audit led to, and the whole thing was corrupt. The audit led to, well, wink, wink, I'm stealing food from here, taking it back to my family. So here's something for you. And they would give my dad a gift. And so we ate well, dude. I grew up eating caviar. Every morning I would eat caviar and bread with hot tea as a kid. We come to the United States and I'm crying. I'm 6 years old and I'm crying. I'm like, where's my bread and caviar with the tea, right? My mom's like, shut the fuck up. We're living in Section 8 housing. You're going to eat that stale banana and piece of bread. And
you're like, what?
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell was going on, right? These people outside, they don't even speak my. I can't.
Your dad's going to the grocery store trying to give him the red card, and they're like,
it's not working. It's not working. No, we need cash, fella. Yeah, so it was a whole different, real mental shift, man, for that to happen. But I'm just so grateful that they brought us here the opportunity. But during that time, I was just like, oh shit, I'm letting my dad down. But when that woman didn't recognize my face because she didn't see my face, I was like, this is a sign from the powers that be that I need to change my ways. And I just committed to changing my ways.
Did you ask for help from anybody else, or you just kind of did a lot of that on your own?
We all know what we need to do, man.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what you need to do.
I love that.
There's that gnawing in your gut that says every decision you make, you're like, I should eat that bagel or I shouldn't. I shouldn't, but you eat it anyway, right? Yeah. That's it. It's that simple. I should or should not rob that house. I should not rob that house, but you did it, and that's why Lenin. We called him Lenin Papi, which in Armenian means Grandpa Lenin.
Yeah,
it was great. Holy shit, I'm getting goosebumps. That's it. That's what my dad had. My brother, who was obviously older, right? So he was 17, 18 years old, would steal my dad's red card, go to a flower shop, get flowers, go to a candy store, get candy. Oh my God. Commandeer a taxi. Because what that thing is you get fucking anything you want for free.
Yeah.
So just don't audit me because everyone's stealing from the government.
I got it.
Right? And then he'd go pick up his girlfriend. Here's flowers, here's candy. Then he'd take her out. Here's food, right?
That's some game.
And then, so every district had its own Communist Party member. So my dad was the communist dude of our community. And so my brother would do a bonehead move and he'd go into someone, it's like the mafia, like when you went into someone else's town, right? Like, hey, this family is only here. He'd go and they'd eat in someone else's town. And of course, he's showing his red card. That person in the restaurant knows, like, wait a minute. The dude that has a red card here is not you. It's an older gentleman. So he calls him up. The dude comes, beats my brother right on this, like gives him a beating, right? Like bloodies him up, opens up the thing. Oh, that's your dad? Okay. Drags him over to my dad. Yeah. My dad then gives him a beating. My brother was like inches away from his life because my dad could have lost it all, man. Like, yeah, it was nuts, the story they tell me about that shit. That's crazy. I could just look at that.
You
all
mentioned
day.
earlier that you have a tendency to just want to do bad stuff, and then now you've filled yourself up with so many things that are more positive.
Yeah.
Can you expand upon that? Because I found that to be really fascinating.
Where did I even begin with that? So
you were telling us about the German Shepherd. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So, all right. So I've got a lot of, I know this about myself. I've become pretty self-aware. And one
and by the way, I think everyone's that way. I think everyone has,
sure.
And it's just degrees, right? Like it's, for somebody, it might be, their degree of bad might be cheating on their diet.
Yeah.
And somebody else's degree might be cheating on their wife or whatever, might be way worse degrees of it, right?
Yeah. And I believe it has a lot to do with whatever trauma you've experienced in life. Like I've learned that through the 16 months of therapy that I've gone through, that it wasn't until about 4 years ago that I openly talked to my wife about having been molested when I was between the ages of 4 and 6 in Armenia by 2 older boys consistently. So when my dad escaped and we came to the United States, he thought he was just freeing us and bringing us to this free country. He freed me from daily, weekly molestation. And so you grow up and you have a chip on your shoulder. So you might see where the home invasion robberies start to come from. You grow up, you have a chip on your shoulder. You trust no man now, right? These were older boys that, as a young kid, all younger kids look up to older boys and their dads and their brothers as the rite of passage. That's why knights have squires, and the squire's job is to clean the armor and the fucking horse and learns how to be a man. And that rite of passage, when it's taken advantage of through molestation, through beatings, through whatever it is. And so that happened to me. I just suppressed it, but then had this internal rage. So I always felt like I had fire in my belly, rage in my eyes, and a chip on my shoulder. That's how I always looked at it. And some people will still tell me, like, I could see the sadness and darkness in you. I'm like, thank you. Like, that's a superpower now. Before I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's a superpower I have now. And because it gives me so much empathy and compassion. So that, and then you come to this country and then you get picked on, bullied, beat up, laughed at. Go back to your own fucking country, you foreigner. Dude, I know what black people have to experience. Like, I know racism as well as you do. And any black person or any foreigner, especially in the 80s, like, it wasn't like we were in a melting pot.
Yeah.
You come to Section 8 housing in Santa Ana where there's black gangs and Mexican gangs. Now, they hate each other. But
at least there's more of them, yeah.
They speak the same language. Now they're like, hey, look, a fucking foreigner. Now the blacks and the Mexicans are fucking beating me up.
We can both beat them up.
What the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
And so like that's how bad shit had gotten. So, but that was again another great thing. Like,
where'd you guys live?
We still lived in Santa Ana, California. That's where the Section 8 housing was, government assisted housing. And then later moved to Anaheim, which wasn't better at the time because Anaheim has some shady parts. But moved to Anaheim where we actually paid our own rent, which was pretty awesome because the apartments that we lived in were usually bug infested and stuff. The Section 8 housing. And right now, from what I understand, it's a lot cleaner. Like there's higher standards for that. But back then it was what it was. And dude, we're grateful. The alternative was to what? Maybe live out of some fucking hovel somewhere, right? And so, but one of the apartments in Santa Ana it was so infested that I got lice. I was, by this point I was 7 years old. I got lice. And here's what foreigner parents do. My mom's like, well, we can't afford lice treatment. So she has my dad siphon out gasoline from a parked car and then washes my hair with gasoline. You know, like apartment complexes, especially in the old school, like, so the apartments are like on the sides and there's like a little grassy quad area, right? So she just takes me out into the grassy area, has me double over, close my eyes, and starts washing me, pouring gasoline on my head and scrubbing my head. Jeez. I just remember seeing, like, as I'm doubled over, I see like little feet all around me. I'm like, oh, these are all the neighborhood kids. I realized as an adult, they're probably thinking, this woman's about to light this motherfucker on fire, right?
He did something really bad.
Yeah. Like, you do that today, and like Child Protective Services show up, and they like put my mom in the slammer. Then it was just okay to do. So it killed the lice. Gasoline killed the lice, and that was that. But so you grow up with that kind of chip on your shoulder. You're beat up.
How much could lice treatment possibly be?
Dude, yeah. When I think about it, maybe a couple bucks.
It might have been easier just to go buy that.
Yeah. But I guess my dad working under the table at a pizzeria and at a gas station and delivering newspapers at night. It was just a shitty upbringing the first few years. Like there was no Christmas or whatever. It was a very big culture shock.
Were your parents still involved with you?
No, and that was the other thing, right?
They just didn't have time for it, or
no, they were all working, and that's okay. Like it was one of those things. Just hey, raise yourself. Here's food. Don't eat a lot of it because it's rationed.
Maybe it's also a little bit of a cultural thing. Are they just not really loving by nature? Or they just literally just were working their faces off? And
it's cultural too. Like if you've met anyone from like any kind of Baltic country,
they're usually pretty hardened, from what I've noticed.
Hardened and harsh, and the way they show love is just different. It's just different. Like I hug and love. Like my son, and he's 14 now. He tries to do the cool hug, like sideways. I'm like, belly button to belly button, buddy. Bring it in, right? Like I want that. What I didn't have. I want the belly button to belly button. My wife, with my daughter, with my son, with anyone. We fucking hug. We're not doing some fucking bullshit. Like Craig Ballantyne.
Yeah,
he's a fucking robot. He's my business partner. Love him to death, but he's a fucking robot. A cyborg, as Ferrugia says. So he would do the I'm like, no, bring it fucking in.
People push their hips back.
Yeah, show me love.
Get those hips closer to me.
I want the belly button and the heart to fucking connect.
Yeah. Maybe even feel a little penis in there too.
Right.
Well, it doesn't have to be a little penis. It could be a big penis.
For me, it would be a little penis.
Some penis.
Yeah. So for some people, it might be some penis, but for me, it'd be a little penis. Having said that, now I'm going down this very dark place in my head. Having been molested, you really have a dark sense of humor. One time I was at a restaurant and the wife and I were on a date, and the lady comes and like, you guys ready? I'm like, oh, no, another minute. Because I'm like in a heated conversation with my wife about something cool and exciting. And my wife was ready to order at this point because I was yakking it up, and she was just like, found what she wanted to order. The lady comes again. Are you ready yet? No, I'm so sorry. I was molested as a kid, so I take longer to read menus. And I could just hear my wife's butthole slap shut. The waitress's butthole slap shut. And I'm just like giggling to myself, like, what? Okay, right? Like, because now that I can talk about it after, since the last 4 years ago, I can openly talk about it. Again, more therapy. Like, to me, it's just, I'm okay with it. But I realize it's probably not good humor because maybe she, who knows, right? Yeah. But anyway, so again, this is
because also maybe she just thinks you're kidding around. And throwing that around as a fun joke at the expense of people that have been molested, maybe not knowing your history that you have been.
Right, and it's not like I have some card that can show that like, hey, no, look, I really was, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's from my dad's red card, but it would be like a molest card. Anyways, now we go with that rabbit hole again. So all this to say that chip on the shoulder, fire in the belly, rage in my eyes, dealt with a lot of shit growing up as a kid, a lot of from bigotry to just not understanding the culture, the American culture, parents dressing you up, giving you a weird haircut, and people laughing at you. So as I grew up, I got into that trouble. And one thing that saved me actually, in LA, there's a radio station called KFI AM 640, and Dr. Laura Schlesinger. You guys,
I would listen to that as a kid all the time, like to school, because my mom loved her.
Really?
Yeah, my mom
Okay.
loves Dr. Laura.
Dude, okay, get this. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking about it because for some reason, while it was all like punk, thug, gangstered out, when my friends weren't in the car, I was listening to Dr. Laura. I don't even know how I stumbled upon her show.
That's great.
And she would always, she would just coach people who would call in, right? And I remember one time she would talk about like your circumstances, like what happened to you isn't the definition of who you are, right? And I was like, oh shit, all right, because I would be like, yeah, in my head, like this happened to me as a kid, so now I got to fuck people up. This happened to me as a kid, so now I got to fucking seek out revenge. Why? And then I remember thinking, and then going back to the parents thing. All right, well, my parents aren't as loving. They're not as this. And I remember Dr. Laura talking to one lady one day and who was complaining about her childhood. My parents never said, I love you to me, blah, blah, blah. She goes, well, guess what? Do you have kids? She goes, well, I'm actually pregnant right now with my first child. She goes, great. So in life, everyone has 2 chances at a parent-child relationship. Once when you're the child, once when you're the parent. I was like, holy shit. So the verbal affirmation, like my parents love me, man. The gasoline on the hair, that was out of love. Yeah. Like, you know that, like escaping to this country. My dad was 45 at the time. Who gives a fuck? He had a red card. He lived better than everyone else there. He just didn't want me or my brother to go into the communist army because at the time they were fighting Afghanistan like we are now. And fucking Russian soldiers were coming back with their legs and shit blown off. And my brother was 1 year away from going to the Red Army. And then I was probably, a dozen years away? So all that, like my dad risked his shit, right? So that's how he showed love. And like slapping me around is how he showed love. It was just, that's how it is. And like I recognize that now. And so I was like, shit, all right, but I have a second chance at the parent-child relationship. And so I knew that when I have kids, it's just going to be deep love. I love you. As soon as they were born, I created Gmail accounts for Andrew and Chloe. And, because we have iPhones, right? We take videos and pictures and I'm on airplanes all the time. So I'm always writing them love letters and stuff. And like, fuck the scrapbook. Like, I don't know, you guys have kids, like go create a fucking Gmail account and then start fucking pumping that shit out to them because now they have the login to it. I gave it last year, the passwords. They're like, holy fuck, Dad, I remember that. And here's what I was thinking. Right. I was like, oh shit. Okay. That's cool to see that.
Yeah, that's great.
But anyway, so all that changed, man. I'm just really grateful. Like Dr. Laura changed my life. Court-ordered therapy changed my life. And then voluntary therapy 4 years ago, changed my life. And I'm becoming more self-aware. And I know that I have this addiction. I know that I can go OCD. And as Kevin, my therapist, said, are you going to go OCD and addictive on being a bad human and accumulating karmic debt? Or can you just shift that into something better? Which is what I've chosen to do through fitness. Fitness changed my life. I was a fat kid throughout high school. I wanted to lose weight so I can ask Nakaya to the prom. I did lose weight and started working out, but I never asked Nakaya to the prom. I was
Where's Nakaya now?
Everybody asks. I have no idea, and I'm
she's probably still hot. Wherever she is.
If you have an IG stalker, he could probably find her.
Yeah, I hope my wife doesn't listen to this show.
She's like, who in the fuck is Nakaya?
I'm sure Nakaya's fat and ugly, honey. yeah. I mean, balding, probably. Yeah. Tooth missing in the front, so you could see it. But anyway, all that to say that, like, I know that I am addictive. I do have rage in my eyes, fire in my belly, chip on my shoulder, and I'm going to use all that for good. And all the shit that's happened to me, this is a little cliche, but it happened for me because of being molested, bullied, picked on, beat up. I know what it is to feel like a pariah, an outcast, a loner, feeling broken, unloved, hated, damaged. And I can sense, I can feel people's pain. I'm an empath, and I can feel people's pain better than anyone. So I know who my clients are. I know what they're suffering from. I don't have to be a woman to know because I can listen to them and I pay attention. Friends will call me who haven't talked to me for a decade and we'll just have a heart-to-heart because they know I will listen. It doesn't matter who I am now. I'll still listen, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I think going through all those different things have helped create what you have going on now.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you were you had 16 months of therapy, and you mentioned that this was something that you had to do. It was like
court ordered.
Court ordered. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that like basically everyone should get some sort of therapy? Like they need help that way, maybe?
That's why years later,
it was forced upon you, but it sounded like it was life altering for you.
Absolutely, because what got you here isn't going to get you out of here, right? And all you know is what you know. So In my case, mom and dad, here's what I've learned too. Our first 20 years, you have zero control of things. Maybe in the later of the 20 years, you have more control. But you're born, and they go, all right, here's how much we're going to feed you. So if you end up being a chunky kid, it wasn't your choice. And then we're going to put you in red or blue or black or green. And that's going to become his favorite color. Who said? Who said? We're going to put hats on. I don't want to wear fucking hats, right? We're going to put little booties on. I don't want fucking booties. But you have no choice, right? Hey, don't reach for that. Watch out for that. Don't open that door. Slow down. Don't put your finger in there. Everyone's fucking telling you what to do. Oh, you're just big boned. You're just big boned. Elephants have big bones. I was fat, bro. Elephants have big bones. I was fat. But they're like, you're big boned. It's just in our genetics. No, we fucking eat a lot of fried Armenian food. That's what it is. That's what it is, right? And so you realize that, well, okay, we're foreigners. Oh, we're blue collar. Like all these definitions are put on you from the choice of colors that you're going to wear to, well, mom and dad. And these are the people that you trust. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, school teachers. And they all go off the filters that they've experienced, meaning if they've experienced the Great Depression and your shoes are a little scuffed, it's like, well, why'd you get new shoes, boy? Like, this is what my parents, why'd you get new shoes? I'm like, well, they're scuffed. No, in Armenia, we would wear shoes that our fucking toes pointed out of it, right? And same with the Great Depression people here in the States, right? Yeah, but it's not the fucking Great Depression anymore. I want my fucking Adidas to look clean,
I'm
man.
not trying to live your life, yeah.
That's it. So
and you see it a lot with, you see it like it's really, you see it very clearly with sports.
Yes.
You know, like the dad loves baseball and the son loves baseball. And it's like, does the son really dig baseball? Like, that's cool if he does, but does he really dig baseball?
Does he? Or now does he feel like he's letting dad down if he doesn't? So now he's building resentment behind dad. And then all of a sudden he turns fucking 25 years old and he decides he's going to wear a fucking My Little Pony hoodie and a little tail. Do you know what those are called? Yeah, they're called fucking bronies.
Oh,
Bronies.
We need one of
The
those.
tail?
Yeah. The dudes, grown men who wear the whole My Little Pony outfits. And they congregate. I'm not saying like if you hate
Where
baseball.
have you been hanging out?
Well, my son is a speed cuber, a Rubik's Cube.
Oh,
yeah.
sick.
Yeah,
Okay.
he can solve the 3x3 in under 11 seconds.
Wow.
Oh, man.
And so we were in Baltimore at the national speed cubing competitions. And bronies! Bam, baby! Look at that.
Hey, now.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
And
I've
so,
heard of furries, but
Yeah. This is the offshoot of that.
okay.
So one side of the Baltimore Convention Center was all Rubik's Cubers. The other side were grown men walking around like that.
Oh, my God.
And I'm a very protective dad because shit's happened to me, right? So I'm like, wife, what the fuck's going on?
We're getting out of here.
I'm like, what'd you bring us to? Like already, I'm thinking Baltimore. I'm thinking The Wire, right? Like fucking Omar's going to come around the corner with a fucking gat and cap us and all that. So I got my head on a swivel. And ironically, by the way, Baltimore was beautiful, amazing food. I'm sure The Wire exists and the bad part of town exists,
Right.
but Baltimore downtown was amazing. So anyway, the other side of fucking the Baltimore Convention Center was this. And so much shit's happened to me. Like my molestation radar was fucking going off. I got a great gaydar and I've got a great molester fucking radar, right? Like if you're a fucking predator, I got you. And if you're fucking gay and you don't know it, I'll let you know. Because I've worked in a gay club and Disneyland and my fucking shit's dialed in. Like I don't need a realignment in either of those.
What about if someone's stealing from you? Do you know that?
I just assume everyone's fucking bad.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I come in with a plan to like either run or kill. Yeah, yeah. With this motherfucker here, I'm gonna run. Yeah. But having said all that, dude, the other side of the convention center
That's
were
wild.
these cats, right? Like thousands of
That
them.
is insanity.
So my wife's like, all right, you're not gonna relax until we talk to a security person, right? I'm like, right. Talk to a security person. Like, oh, bad. We find them in hallways having sex with each other. I'm like, oh shit. Boy, solve your Rubik's Cube. We're getting the fuck out of here. And that's how fast we were, man. We just solve your shit and we're getting the fuck out of here because I'm going to fuck one of these fuckers up. Having said that, not all bronies, I'm sure, do that. So don't fucking ping me all over social media, calling me a weirdo.
You mentioned how like, from your childhood, a lot of the stuff that happened there seeped its way into like your adulthood. And you just recently started, well, not recently, but 16 months. Yeah, you started getting therapy. But before all of the therapy, you were already really successful. Like by the definition, you were extremely successful. So then, I mean, how did that affect your business? Like what were the wrong things that were going on? Because you were doing well.
Yeah, financially, I was doing really well. And I talk about it in my book, Man Up, where mentally, I was taking, well, not physically, I was taking Vicodin and NyQuil every night to go to sleep. Ooh. Then I would take Adderall, pre-workout, and coffee in the mornings to get out of my foggy headedness from that. The relationship with the wife was on the rocks. My kids were walking on eggshells, literally. were walking on eggshells around me because I could fucking snap for no reason. And so I felt like I was white knuckling through life, and I got to fucking man up, right? Which is why I titled the book Man Up, but it's really human up. So people are like, well, you should have woman up. I can't woman. You can. Even women can man up because you human up to your highest potential. Listen, dogs can fucking like live and they'll lick the ground. They'll fucking smell, stick their nose in another dog's shit. Like they are dogs, animals, etc. We're like the highest on the totem pole, right? Yeah. We shouldn't live like them. Like if I go look inside your car, there's fucking empty Starbucks containers and fucking shirts that have been sweaty 4 weeks ago and they're now about to crawl away on their own. Food wrapper. Like if that's your car, how you do anything is how you do everything. The mess is here too. The mess is in your finances. And so I had gotten to that place where I was the guy like, hey, honey, I'm going to go work out. But then I'd go find a shady spot in the parking lot and sleep because I was so stressed out about work and my business. So financially, I was doing well. But in every other way, I was white knuckling. And so from the outside, like, man, he's doing all right. Inside, it's all about to fucking collapse until it did. Found out one of my employees had put me $640,000 in debt because she wasn't charging our franchisees their franchise payments. And this is when we first launched the franchise. I wasn't about to go to them and go, hey, man, you haven't paid for months. You haven't paid for years. Pay up. It was my fault. So I ate that. My wife's like, see, you're a fuck up again. You're not meant to be an entrepreneur. And she didn't mean it any other way other than like, we're always in the red, dude. Just go get a job. You're a great salesman and go have a
you're
steady.
Stressing yourself out, stressing the family out.
Yeah. And she's just a mama bird, man. Just mama bird wants to make sure the babies are good. And like, are we going to have the home this month? Because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to juggle this so we can make the home payment, right? The mortgage payment. And so outwardly, yes, I was financially successful. Inwardly, I wasn't. And so is that the definition of success then? No. Today, yeah, I make more money and I can help donate to causes that I believe in. Shriners, Toys for Tots, Compassion International. We have 97 kids adopted through Compassion International. Wow. I think we're the number 4 donator to Shriners Children's Hospital, which, by the way, who's that kid?
It's fantastic.
There's a singer who is the number 1 donator, Justin Timberlake.
Oh.
And my goal is to beat him in the next 10 years and be the number 1 donator to Shriners. But my point is like that to me is success because I had a bad childhood, right? As a kid, people are like, why kid charities? Because I didn't have Christmas and Toys for Tots, like make sure kids who didn't have Christmas and a Christmas gift has one. Medical services, I didn't have shit. My mom's washing my hair with gasoline. My dad would take me to some guy's house to have my tooth extracted. Imagine what the fear I have about dentists. Yeah. Never mind about the medical treatment that I had to get from some guy who escaped Armenia, lived in another cluster of Section 8 housing, and he was my doctor the first few years, right? Shit. And so Shriners Children's Hospital, and then Compassion International, because they help kids with education, etc. And so those are like, this is real success. The fact that me and my son do jiu-jitsu together, the fact that I built out my own private gym and my wife and my 2 kids, we work out together every night. Well, not tonight because I'm here, but we work out together barefoot in my gym, just beautiful gym like yours. Like that's success. That didn't happen before, man. And going back to your story about the German Shepherd, I was that German Shepherd because we got this beautiful dog. Her name is Cookie. She's half German Shepherd, half American Mastiff. So she wants to shepherd something and serve us, right? That's just in her DNA. And previous to her, before we rescued her, we had a couple of small dogs, Chihuahuas. And they're yappy. They're always on edge. They don't know if you're going to love them or kill them. They just, they don't know. They don't know. And that's okay, but they were cute. And so we rescue Cookie from San Francisco, and I drive back with her. And I'm like, all right, we got a big dog. She seems pretty cool, but the little dogs don't like her, so we're going to get rid of the little dogs, give the small dogs to my parents. So we hired this woman who knows how to work with big dogs to help us learn how to handle her. She goes, look, the number 1 thing you know is this dog has German Shepherd in her. She needs to serve. She needs to shepherd. She needs a routine. And if she doesn't have one, here's what's going to happen. This beautiful backyard that you have, she's going to start digging holes everywhere. I'm like, that's fucking weird. Why would she do that? She goes, in the absence of having purpose, she will give herself purpose and start digging holes everywhere. I was like, holy fuck, that's what I did in my life, right? In the absence of having purpose, I was digging holes in my life. Just whether it's through stress, because I'm making money, but I wasn't donating to causes and charities I believed in. Because it was like, well, I don't know if we're gonna have enough money because there was a pattern of me gaining and losing. There's Cookie right there, and I had an oil painting of her done above our couch.
Got the same pose going on.
Yeah. She's such an awesome dog. Yeah. Thanks for pulling that up, man. I love that dog. So anyway, that's beautiful, Cookie. And so just like the German Shepherd, man, if we don't have a purpose in life, we will start digging holes. And so while now Fit Body Bootcamp is one of my purposes, these 3 charities are my purpose, my wife and kids are my purpose, doing shows like this where I can get this message out so that someone who can do this a decade before me. I started getting my shit together in my 30s. What if someone can get their shit together in their 20s? Could you imagine the impact they would have when they're 45 like I am? Far greater.
Or even just to have hope at 15.
Or hope at 15.
Yeah.
That whoever wrote your story in the first 20 years, after that point, you can take the pen back and you decide how the story goes. And I decided that I am going to run a marathon. I am going to learn jiu-jitsu. I am going to learn MMA. I am going to overcome my fear of the water. So I learned how to surf, and I love surfing. Dude, I lived in Southern California. I never went into the water. I'd go to the beach. Wow. But I never went to the water because my dad had an older brother in Armenia who drowned. And guess what? His filters were, the water is bad. So son, don't go to the beach. Don't go to
stay away from it. Yeah.
I'm a pretty good fucking longboarder. I never would have known it if I didn't decide that I'm going to take the pen out of their hands and start writing the story on all these blank pages that are left in my life. And that's the fucking message I want to get across.
Did you always have hope as a kid, or were you a dreamer? Because how did you hang on to some of these thoughts by someone like Dr. Laura, and then later be accepting of these cassette tapes and stuff? Because a lot of people think that shit's phony, and they think like, oh, there's no good and bad. It's just the way that you perceive it, and some people are like, that's bullshit. There's plenty of good and bad.
This is where I believe ignorance is bliss. I'm not a smart guy. I will lock on to anything. I'm obsessive. And once I trust you, like if I'm like, dude, I want to do a 6-week powerlifting challenge, right? And if I hire you as a coach, if you're like, dude, go eat fucking that time clock, I will just figure out a way to chop it into pieces and eat it because you said so. I'm not. So Jim Franco, I trusted. He's an entrepreneur. I would see him, he'd pull up, oh, is he driving the Mercedes or the sports car or is he driving the SUV? I didn't have 3 cars, so I wanted to be like him. And he would work out with me anytime he wanted. He didn't have a schedule, right? Yet he was an entrepreneur. I wanted to be like him. So where that was concerned, I followed him. It was real simple. Once I believed in someone, and so I believe for me, the ignorance, like I never overthought anything. And I've always felt there's something special about me, but I didn't know what it was. I just felt, okay, you're unique, you're special, people don't understand you. Maybe just because I really was, like, I felt like a pariah, an outcast. I was like, maybe it's because you're unique and special and there's something different about you. But then when I find the right people in my life that I would trust them, like Dr. Laura Schlesinger, like, I don't know, I felt like she's trustworthy. It's like, all right, she's giving me all the advice that my mom and dad should have given me. I better pay attention to her. Like, she's got no agenda. She doesn't know who I am, some guy sitting in a 79 Toyota pickup in fucking Anaheim listening to her, right? And so once I would put my trust in someone in some category of life, that was it. So that's how jiu-jitsu and all that worked out for me. But if Coach Pete's like, hey, I'm going to choke you out so you feel like what it's like to, what a blood choke is versus an air choke. Okay. Because he came from a trusted friend, Troy McClain, who's got fucking Donald Trump on speed dial because Troy McClain was on The Apprentice and they're buddies now. And Troy and Coach Pete are buddies. And so if Coach Pete says do a handstand because that's part of jiu-jitsu, guess what? I'm doing a fucking handstand. It's my ignorance, my naivete, that I will trust anyone who I believe knows something better than I do.
You mentioned like that everybody has a purpose, and like I know so many people in my life and individuals that just like mention this that don't feel and can't find that. Like they don't know what they love to do or what they can see doing with the next few years of their life. So they just have a job and that's what they do. So if everybody has a purpose, how do you think they should find it? I know that sounds so cliche.
No,
but
that's a good question. You nailed it.
He's got a good answer for it. I've heard this before.
Yeah, because it's not lost. So they're never going to find it. It's not lost. You only find things that are lost. If I put this under his folder here, then it's lost. I can find it.
Yeah.
You develop your purpose. And so if you're working at a Starbucks, and you're like, I know this is not my purpose to serve up coffee at fucking 4 a.m. to angry people, right? Who are going to sit in traffic. But if you could just be the best barista possible, memorize everyone's order, memorize their name, memorize something about them, upsell them on a fucking croissant sandwich or whatever. Be the best you can. Make sure the coffee tastes consistently good every single time. Something will happen where someone will take notice and go, hey, have you considered this? So now you may not like being a barista, but you became so good, you might own the next chain of coffee shops. Or you might end up being some kind of open up some sort of concierge service because you're so good at something. Like people just need to be good, be really good at whatever you're doing now, exceed everyone else's expectation. As my friend Tom Bilyeu says, co-founder of Quest Bar, he goes, there's always room at the top for the best. And so if podcasting is your thing right now, if you could just say, fuck it, I'm going to be the best podcaster on the planet. I'm going to out podcast Lewis House. I'm going to out podcast fucking Tim Ferriss. Something will happen where all of a sudden someone's like, hey, we'd love to have you on our show. And we want you to give you your own show. You're like, this is my purpose, not to just narrow on a podcast, but go wide and impact the world, right? So you develop your purpose by being good at whatever it is you're doing at the time. I was a personal trainer because I lost fat. I just wanted to help one more person accomplish that. And then 2 more, and then 3 more, and then 4 more. And then what if I opened up a studio? What if I opened up 5? And then I developed my purpose. Turns out I'm supposed to be a franchisor and a coach. I still coach, but now I coach the headspace instead of the body. And the head leads the body anyway. We all know this, right? And so I've developed my purpose. And that changes, by the way, with phases and seasons of life. Because I'm pretty sure at 60, I'm 45 now, at 60 or 65, I won't be the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp. I will probably be on the board of directors of Fit Body Bootcamp and our supplement company and the software company I'm starting. And I'll probably be an investor in a few other companies, and I'll be mentoring somebody else. Yeah. So my next level of purpose will change. But it's always developing it and not finding it.
Okay.
When you were working, I don't know how many different jobs, like you were just going nonstop doing, Disneyland and then all that extra stuff.
Yeah, 3 jobs.
3 jobs. So I don't want to say you were because you weren't spinning your wheels, but you were working your ass off. How do you convert hard work into profit? Like, how do you convert that into like a high paying salary? Does that make sense? Like, because you're I don't say you're killing yourself, but you're not giving yourself enough time to really develop anywhere else. You're making enough money right now. You're going from one spot to the next spot to the next spot. So how do you convert all that hard work into a profitable, you know what I mean? Like a big bank account, basically.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't living then. I was surviving.
Right.
All I wanted to do was train people if I had it my way. But I only had 4 personal training clients because everyone else would say, no, let me go think about it. No, let me talk to my spouse. I need to go look at my schedule, right? It's like, wait a minute, you just said you can work out 3 days a week. Now you got to look at your schedule. You said your husband supports you. Now you got to go talk to your objections are part of selling. And I was selling personal training. And so I was such a bad closer, that I ended up with multiple side jobs. So I was surviving, just barely making rent, paying my car payment, etc. It wasn't until Jim Franco said, we're going to take one of your skills, not bouncing, not being a fry cook and busboy, but personal training, but the selling of personal training. Because remember what you said in that other room. You're like, hey, the slingshot and all this stuff, this is great, but I realized this whole side of the building needs to be a studio because I need to be the marketer of my products. And soon as he taught me how to be the seller and marketer of my products, I became so good that my personal training schedule was full. I quit the 2 side jobs. I was now handing clients to other trainers in the gym and making commissions. I'd never even made commissions before. All of a sudden, the wealth started to come in. Wealth in your 20s is different. Like I actually have $500 surplus in my bank account. That was wealth then, right? Yeah. Different than now where it's assets and buildings and properties and all that shit. So you really have to do one thing and get really good at it, because when you develop that purpose, wealth also comes with it. The money always follows the purpose, not the other way around. I was chasing money because I need it. We all need money. Guess what? In this life, you need money. Because you have a lifestyle, this building probably has a mortgage or rent or whatever. So you need that money. Electricity has to be on to run the show. But if you can just develop a purpose, you will then find the wealth. It's just I was spread out so thin because I needed money.
Yeah, and a lot of times we think about hard work. Think about someone that's working hard that has 2 or 3 jobs in comparison. Oh, he's throwing in another mind bullet.
Down the hatch.
To really think about somebody that, let's say they work 20 hours a week. We would think that person's not a hard worker. Yeah. Versus someone that works 80 hours a week and they have 3 jobs. But who potentially is making more money? You don't really know until you take a look under the hood and see, like, what is this time devoted towards? What are you doing? Maybe you're a material expert at something, and maybe you're a doctor, and you do 20 hours a week worth of surgery. And obviously there'd be other hours devoted to some other things, but you kind of get the idea. Like, hard work is only like a piece of the pie. And I think from everybody I've met, it kind of always starts with hard work, but then kind of morphs in because you need to have that. Otherwise you're done. Have you met anyone that's high level that is not a material expert in something specific? Because I personally have my own experience with meeting people that are executing on a high level. It just seems like they, like you said, develop your purpose. I feel like a lot of the people that I know have scaled because they really learned or investigated and knew a lot about one particular thing.
Yeah. SME, they become subject matter experts. And you have to become a subject matter expert. Like, I know all about franchising now. After almost a decade, I know more about franchising than most people would learn from a university course or going to the International Franchise Association's certification programs, et cetera, because I've been in the trenches. I've dealt with franchisees. I know what it's like when franchisees revolt against you. I know what it's like when they're on board with your vision, mission, and values. And so I've become a subject matter expert. I decided 7 years ago that every month I'm going to study 2 franchises. One that's just skyrocketing, and in any space. Could be Subway sandwiches, could be 7-Eleven, could be Jiffy Lube, way outside of the fitness industry. Why is one skyrocketing? Then I want to study one that's crashing and burning. For example, Quiznos arguably had a better sub, didn't they?
Yeah, they
Remember?
were good.
Better ingredients. They didn't have yoga material in their bread like Subway did. Did you guys hear that one?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've heard of that one, right?
I haven't. No.
You have? Okay.
I definitely,
material?
yeah,
Yoga.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you know what yoga mats are made of? That little rubbery thingamajig. So I don't know if it's the FDA, the USDA says that you can have whatever 0.09% of that rubbery material in food, which is also what the McRib is made of. Because how does it have that perfect shape? You ever wonder that, right? And so how does that beautiful bread hold its shape and so springy and fluffy? Yoga material. And so there's a blog called The Food Babe, and she exposed that. So Quiznos was like, hey, look, we have actual real bread. There's no fucking yoga mats in our bread, right? The meat doesn't have nitrate. It's not processed meat. Our cheese is all natural, blah, blah, blah. So Quiznos, and then when you eat the sandwich, you're like, this is a better fucking sandwich. And they toast it. Yeah. Oh my God. But Quiznos is no longer around. And if there is one around right now, I think there's a total of 60 left on the planet.
Wow.
The Federal Trade Commission, who sees over all franchises, says, hey, Quiznos, your failure rate has been so high of locations that you are not allowed to sell anymore. Every year we get audited by the Federal Trade Commission, all franchises. And if you have a high failure rate, over like 26% or something, then you're not allowed to sell any more franchises. Quiznos is at 42%. Cold Stone Creamery is at 48%. Cold Creamery.
Stone?
Yeah. Baskin Robbins. Good ice cream. Cold Stone. Amazing ice cream because they'll custom make the fucking thing and then you want more of that and you want more of that. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah. Because so what Quiznos was doing was taxing their franchisees an extra 9%. So you have to buy all your shit from us at a 9% markup. And the franchisees are like, dude, so we can't compete price-wise with Subway. And now that Subway added a toaster, they're crushing us, right, with their yoga mats. And Cold Stone Creamery, I forget what their deal was, but they did something where, again, the franchisees revolted and we're starting to shut down. And so you've got to show that on what's known as an FDD, franchise disclosure document, every year. How many locations opened, how many closed. And Federal Trade Commission's like, hey, neither of you can open up more locations. Now, here's the ironic part. 2017, Subway closed more stores than opened. That was the first time in Subway history. So every year or every month, I'm studying one franchise that's successful, one that's failing, and I want to know the whys behind it. If I have to call the CEOs or do research on them or listen to podcasts that they've been on, and because of that, I've become a subject matter expert on franchising. This is the fat foreign kid that came from communist country, English is a second language for me, learned personal training, worked as a bouncer at a gay bar, Disneyland, and a personal trainer, and now I know more about franchising, so much that people pay me $90,000 to speak at franchising expos. What? And all I did was go narrow and deep on one subject. That one subject a decade now might change because my passion will change, but I'll always be serving. I know that I'm meant to be a servant because if I'm not serving, I will start self-destructing.
Yeah, a lot of people listening, hopefully they can take that and put it into whatever they want to do. Study 2 people or 2 things, study it for a few weeks, a few months, maybe it's 2 books, whatever it is, but you can apply that to anything. Maybe you're not interested, maybe you don't dig franchises, maybe you don't care about that, but find something that you can study for a little while. I think taking on 2 things is not too overwhelming for anyone.
Not at all. And look, man, if someone's like, I want to be a strong motherfucker, there's probably a handful of dudes, yourself included, that I'm going to study. There's not a lot of dudes. Like, you find the best at the top. There's not a lot. Like, in that case, I want to go looking for the powerlifters who have torn quads and hamstrings and fucking rotator cuffs and all that shit, because you're not looking for a failure and a winner in that category, right? Like I am.
Right.
I want to know how not to fail, so I'm looking for failures in franchising as well to go what not to do.
Yeah.
But there really isn't much to becoming the best. Like, not a lot of effort. And I'll share this with you real quick. Water boils at 211 degrees. Cool. Throw a raw egg in it. You can make hard-boiled eggs and eat it. One more degree of change, it turns into steam. And you can power a locomotive, and that locomotive can bring goods in and out of towns, right? Steam versus boiling water. One more degree of, I'm going to commit to studying this guy an hour longer than he is. That hour multiplied by a year, per day, per week, per month, will make me substantially better than you.
That is why I'm better than him.
That's it.
That's one reason.
It's one of the reasons.
Yeah. Substantially better looking too.
See?
Yeah. You are very handsome. Both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
You know, I think that's a great. I'm going to need a clip of that.
You're gonna have to save
So
that.
I think you were in the restroom earlier. I'm like, dude, just be honest with me. Like, I don't think we're recording at this point. I'm like, just be honest, man. You wake up every morning and you're just like, God damn, I'm a fucking handsome dude, right? Like, I'm a good looking man. I'm like, just how does it feel? Just tell me how it feels. I just want to know.
Yeah, just
And
let
he
us
took the
in.
modest route. He's like, no, that doesn't happen. But to get that compliment
Come
from
on,
you,
man.
thank
You know he does.
Yeah.
He does, right?
No
He gives himself a little wink on his way out.
Yeah.
You look
And there's like a little twinkle.
yeah, you look awesome, big guy. And he goes about his day.
I like that. Big guy.
Oh my God.
Put that little extra on there, you know what I mean?
I will say, I think Cold Stone isn't as good as Baskin Robbins, though.
Oh no, it's so much better. What are you talking?
I don't know.
Baskin Robbins is really good.
Dude,
They do have a good chocolate peanut butter ice cream.
So I take my daughter there, I mean, every so often, and there's like 85 teenagers running around, and nobody's helping anybody. But for some reason, they're all like making ice cream.
Cold Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's all the same base, and then they just add flavor to it. Whereas if you go to like Baskin Robbins, you get like like a mint chip. It's actually like
It's
mint chip
already-
ice cream.
it's
like
already
legit.
Thrown together.
Yeah.
I don't know which
There's
way
like head
Cold Stone
shaking in
goes.
here. Like, this is serious business. Cold Stone versus Baskin Robbins.
It's because nobody agrees with him.
No,
need
that's
to-
fine.
You're wrong.
We need to try this out. I mean, we
Well,
need to have
I'm
a
down.
challenge.
You've been
I'm down.
wrong before
6-week
as well.
challenge.
6 weeks. Yeah. Hey, I'm a fat fuck again.
I really want to know about this real quick, though. You know, because you mentioned how your mentor, his name was Jim Collins.
Jim Franco.
Jim Franco, my bad.
Jim Collins wrote a great book called
yeah.
Good to Great.
Yeah, he did. And I just messed those two names up. But Jim Franco, he got you on the route of like learning sales and getting into a lot of self-development. And obviously, you know, in your 30s, you've probably done a lot of stuff. But what did that look like in your 30s in terms of your own self-development for yourself? What kind of habits did you build through that period of time that were good? Because obviously, you know, a lot of bad too. But what were you doing that you think other people should be taking the time to do to develop themselves?
Fantastic question. So the one thing that I did, and this is, again, as he gave me, cassette tapes like Dan Kennedy and Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins, Zig Ziglar, those naturally led to, because those guys started talking about some dude named Tony Robbins. I'm like, what? Who's Tony Robbins? Oh my God, he's a giant, right? And I couldn't afford to buy his DVDs, let alone to go to a live event. So on eBay, I found someone who had dubbed his DVDs. Nice. And like for $5, I got his Awaken the Giant Within. And I still feel bad. So actually, it's funny. A couple years ago, I shared the stage with him, and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like I've like paid it forward. Like I've bought your shit. Like I've actually so I have the dub version still, and I have the legit just because I felt so guilty about it, and I wanted to pay the karmic debt, right? And so we all got a good laugh on that. But I learned very quickly that the power, these two things, the power of thought, and your surroundings are huge. So the way he says it is, the people that you surround yourself with and the thoughts that occupy your mind determine a lot of your outcome. Well, if we know that to be true, then I better start looking at who I'm surrounding myself with. And maybe my brother is not a good fit to hang out with based on how he lives his life at the moment. Like, I have to start taking a hard look at family, friends from high school who,
Saying you're off the team.
right? Exactly. It's simple. It's that because if I want to go here, but they're operating there, then there's no way I'm going to get here. I need to surround myself with more people that are going this way. And so there was literally family members that I had to edit. Maybe you're not going to cut out family members, but you can edit them, right? You don't necessarily see them as often. And when you do, you keep the conversation very shallow and you don't talk about the live event you're going to have where you're giving away a car. I've had 11 fitness business summits. And at number 7, I started giving a Land Rover away to an audience member, right? Like who had produced the most growth in their business. 1,000 gym owners would show up.
One on a Range
days.
Rover.
Yeah.
Just fucking with it.
I'm guessing that's some kind of inside joke.
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, and so
Range Rover's more expensive. That's all.
yeah,
I was trying to mess with you.
you got me there. you do realize though. Now you're because I'm a car fanatic. I was reading stats on Land Rovers, whether they're Range Rovers or the Range Rover Sports or all the other wacky, the new Defender that just came out. Historically, they're just always breaking down, but because the cars look so fucking beautiful, people just look past that.
People don't care.
Yeah.
They're still buying it.
Yeah, and I realize I'm one of those people. My wife's every 2 years got a new Range Rover.
Yeah,
and it's always fucking. She's always got a loaner Range
there's
Rover.
always something going on.
Yeah. But anyway, so that said, because it looks great, and why did I decide to give that away? Because it looks great. It looks great on video, right? It looks great on sitting on the side of the stage. So at year number 7 of Fitness Business Summit, I said I'm going to give one away. Because financially we're in a place where we can do that and we raise the price of tickets, blah, 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 whatever. We can afford to. I share it with my brother. He's like, well, why are you going to do that? What if you cannot sell all the tickets? Now you're stuck with car. I'm like, what the fuck, man, right? So for like 2 or 3 years, I was just like, what the fuck? How come these guys are like, for years I've sold this place out. Why do you think all of a sudden I'm not gonna? And
you can't just be pumped for you, yeah.
Yeah, then I realized, wait a minute, what does Tony Robbins say? Like, you have to edit yourself or you have to edit them if they're not on the same bandwagon that you are. And so now I just talk to him about his dogs, about his real estate business, about what he does, and I keep it very shallow. Friends from high school I've had to literally eliminate because they look forward to weekends. I look forward to Mondays now. Yeah. Like, I need to serve. On weekends is when I can get in the most amount of trouble for myself. They look forward to weekends to be couch potatoes. Dude, if I couch potato Saturday and Sunday, I'm because I'm fucking OCD on everything. I go all in. I'm couch potatoing like Monday and Tuesday as well, right? So I fucking work on weekends. Like, not necessarily work on work, but I might work on work for 2 hours and then I go and train my son in the gym and then we roll around on, because now we have our own jiu-jitsu mats in our gym, and so we roll around and do the best we can with that. But my point is I've got shit planned out, right? And so I very quickly realized the thoughts that occupy your mind, the people you surround yourself, are the biggest elements of success or failure. Most people are not willing to take that scary step of cutting out friends, spouses, family members out of their life or editing them. I am. I'll do whatever the fuck it takes for me to become the next version of myself.
And people aren't willing to like go to bed at 8 o'clock at night.
And that's the other thing.
Not willing to wake up early. Yeah. Not willing to get into a routine, get into a rhythm, something that suits their life, right?
That's exactly right. And so going back to another habit was, in addition to the thoughts that occupy your mind and people you surround yourself with, is my morning routine. Like, once I developed a morning routine, that was something again I learned through Tony Robbins, and then it got more fine-tuned through Craig Ballantyne, who wrote the Perfect Day Formula. And again, before he ever wrote his book Perfect Day Formula, because we're friends and business partners, I was just like, dude, how do you wake up at 3 a.m.? Like, how do you wake up at 3 a.m. if you go to bed at 1? He goes, I don't go to bed at 1. I'm like, see, I just assumed, because I do, that he does. Because, I mean, you're not binge watching Netflix? What kind of idiot are you, Craig? Oh, you're a fucking cyborg, obviously, right? So I realized very quickly, he wakes up at 3, and he explained to me this way. He goes, look, I have something called magic time. I go, what the fuck is magic time? He goes, the way I look at it is this. There's only so much like universal, like consciousness energy out there. And when everybody wakes up, they start tapping into that. So if I could wake up hours before them, I can have a large supply of the universal consciousness serving me in my bed. And then I was like, oh shit, now I don't know if that's true or not, but guess what? I love Craig. I trust Craig. I'm like, God damn it, that makes sense. Yeah. Right? So I don't wake up at 3 a.m. because I'm not retarded like he is. I do wake up.
That's the witching hour, yeah.
Yeah.
A little dangerous wake up that early.
I do wake up at 5 a.m. and that gives me a whole 2.5 hours of morning routine and I don't do the whole kumbaya. I just send out 3 gratitude text messages of 3 people that I'm grateful for and why I'm grateful for them. And that's the most self-serving thing you can do, by the way, because throughout the day, they're going to respond back and go, man, thank you so much. That means so much. I really appreciate you. So you're guaranteed, every day I'm guaranteed 3 people are going to send me an appreciation text message, because
they'll send you back something nice.
Yeah. No one's going to be like, you're a fucking asshole for telling me I'm a good person, right? So 1, I'm already guaranteed that. Number 2, I created a list on my iPhone the night before of the 3 to 5 things I'm going to do. I just call it my GSD list, get shit done list. And I wake up and I just get those 3 to 5 things done, send out the 3 text messages, get my workout in, and I'm at our headquarters by 11 a.m. And I can do all that without feeling that morning routine has me like clockwork. Drink 30 ounces of water in the morning. Why? Because Sean Stevenson said so. I trust him. Where sleep is concerned, he says sleep this way, I will fucking sleep that way. And again, it goes back to being either naive or just a little bit like ignorance is bliss. I think people who are too smart for themselves, like, well, I'm going to find out why Mark wants me to deadlift that way. I don't give a fuck why you want me to deadlift that way, Mark. You said deadlift this way. I will deadlift this way. And the people who's like, I'm skeptical. I think there's a better way. So I want to shut the fuck up. Like, you can't even lift the bar right now. This guy can fucking deadlift a house, and you're wondering if you could shut the fuck up and deadlift, right? People just need to be a little bit more ignorant and just find the expert and trust the process and do it. I've built some amazing habits, and in that time, I've also shed my shitty habits, which is a great experience.
And you probably, I mean, you being a material expert yourself, you know, then when people are asking about franchising, you're expecting them to have respect and to listen because you've been doing it for so long.
Right.
What do you think is, we talk a lot about franchises and like In-N-Out Burger and stuff like that. What are some of your...
In-N-Out is privately owned.
Yeah, okay. What are some of your favorites that you've been following that you really love the execution of? How I'm always fascinated by Starbucks, like, because it's been around for so long, and they continue to switch, and like sometimes you're like, what the fuck are they doing? Like they have new shit going on all the time, but they're not scared. They're not scared to try new things.
That's exactly it. So a great franchise currently, like in the food space, is Jersey Mike's. They take care of their franchisees, and they're always on the cutting edge, meaning they're willing to pivot anytime. And I think the sign of a great franchise is that they put the franchisees first, and they're willing to change with the times. As soon as Grubhub came out, they were first on it. Like Subway and other fast food, like sandwich categories, were like, we don't know about this thing. Just fucking get on board with it. Like, everyone thought that about Uber. Like, if I told you 10 years ago, like, dude, some dude's going to pick you up in their own car and take you to your destination from the airport. You've never met him before. You're like, that motherfucker might fucking rape me, kill me, and dump me out by the river. Today, you'd rather go in an Uber than rent your own car or get a cab that fucking stinks, right? And the dude just is like unprofessional because you can't rate the cab driver.
Yeah.
So it's funny how things change. Or if I'm like, hey man, look, you're just going to go stay at someone's house across the country that you've never met. You're like, say what? Airbnb. Right. So when Grubhub came out, like Jersey Mike's is a great one. So where that's concerned, I believe in where fitness is concerned. I may be biased, but Fit Body Bootcamp. Like, we literally went to, like, hey, everyone's doing 1 hour training sessions. Well, guess what? We realized social media, life gets faster. People want, both husband and wife are working in the family, which tells us what? People are running out of time. 30-minute fat burning workouts, right? So we went to 30-minute workouts. We're like, you can't get a workout in 30 minutes. I was like, hey, when I was a trainer doing 1 hour sessions, there was a lot of fucking lip service going back and forth, a lot of gabbing. We're going to take the fucking talking out of this. We're going to do compound movements, 4-station rotation, something that I call active rest, which means if the 3 of us here are doing renegade rows on the TRX, these 2 are doing planks, right? They're doing planks. So no one's ever really resting. You're doing a plank, a wall sit, a fucking high plank, a side plank. That's your rest. And then you move on to the next position. No one's ever resting. So in 30 minutes, you are going to get an awesome workout. Now, are you going to end up looking like him? No, right? But for what they want, they're going to get in 30 minutes. And so we're always willing to pivot. We realized very quickly that, franchises teach their franchisees what to do. I'm like, you know what? Okay, teach them what to do or do it for them. I bet they'll pay me more if I do it for them. Fuck it. I'm going to start doing it for them, driving leads for them, not just telling them how to drive leads. Like, I always knew that there's a better way to do things because I was always willing to pivot. And so we did. So in the fitness world, I think we're the ones to follow. In fact, I know we are because we keep hitting the Inc. and Entrepreneur fastest growing lists. Jersey Mike's in the sandwich space. Jiffy Lube in the automotive space is a great one. There's a tax company. Oh man, they're putting H&R Block out of business. Dudes will come with a fucking tablet to your house now. You don't go to H&R. You don't need to go to them anymore. They'll come with the tablet to your house. Wow. They're professional, and the software on the tablet is designed to help find every little category where you can save a few more dollars or a few more cents in taxes.
What's this company called?
I'm trying to think of it. Dude, it's on the tip of my tongue. Something tax.
Tax event? No.
If you just look up like the fastest growing whatever.
Tax practice.
It's not.
Yeah. No, it's not this one. and they're a franchise. I know that the founder is like an Italian dude.
I'm gonna have to check these dudes out.
Yeah, man, they're so good at what they do. They basically do what they make it painless. Everything's electronic. There is no more paper. You don't have to go and wait in line. I'm like, it's such a great thing. And right now, there's a company trying to make medical service, doctor services, like franchising, where they come to you. Like, I have a doctor come to me to my office now because I just don't have the time. And so they're trying to make that into a franchise. But being in the medical world, it's a little hairy. But dude, there are some great franchises out there right now to follow those. Jiffy Lube, like I said, in the automotive space, whereas like Firestone is Goodyear is a franchise, Firestone is a franchise, but they're just sucking ass because they just like, we do tires. Stop doing tires. America's tire company does tires, and they do it better than anyone else. They're the McDonald's of fucking tires. So Jiffy Lube went to oil. Most people don't realize they started off doing tires. They went to Jiffy Lube. It was like Jiffy Tires. They went to Jiffy Lube, and then now they do brakes and all the other stuff, transmission fluids and all that, because they realize once you're here, we're just going to inspect the fuck out of everything and go, do you want it all done? Yeah, just sit there for 20 more minutes, right? And those are the differences between the companies that grow and the companies that go, well, this is how we've always done business. Subway should not have said this is how we always done business. They should go, you know what? People want their sandwich in a bowl. Make a sandwich in a bowl like Jersey Mike's does.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, they give you a keto.
And charge you more for it. Take the bread
keto
away.
Sandwich, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Take the bread away and charge you more for it. Like, what a brilliant concept, right? Hey, you want a keto burger? Yeah, I'm going to take the bun away and charge you $2 more. Wait, what? How about bring the fucking bun? I'll take the bun away myself, right? And I'll still make it a keto burger. But that's the thing, man. People need to pivot. They need to understand times are changing, that it's the Uber and it's the convenience economy. Convenience and service economy. And if you can do that with your franchise, you could do that with your gym, you could do that with your podcast. Like, now we're switching our Empire podcast to where beyond show notes, there's going to be like, this is what you should have taken away. Because if you listened with whatever filters mom and dad have given you, you heard all the wrong things. How many times have you read a book and I've read a book and we got two different things out of it? So now if you listen to this episode, this is what you should have taken away. It's like, oh shit, all right. Thank you for that. Because now we're just going to do it for you, tell you what you should have taken away instead of hoping that you took away what we wanted you to take away. Yeah. The service economy is where we're in.
What's potentially wrong with the CrossFit model? Because it seems like CrossFit is maybe not as in favor as it used to be.
Yeah, they actually for the last 2 years have closed more locations than they've opened. In their defense, they're not a franchise, they're an affiliate, so like a licensing model, which simply means, well, you've seen this, they can put a CrossFit across the street from each other. Right. Or the walls could be touching. And it's like, all right, duke it out. Right. Survival of the fittest. But their downfall started when, in the beginning, it was one of those things where, hey, I'm a cop, you're a firefighter, you're a paramedic, great. We're on the service industry and we all like to work out like savages. Let's pitch in together and open up a CrossFit. So now they have their real job, then together they have this thing. And they think if I open it, they will come. CrossFit just wants you to pump people out into the CrossFit games, which is awesome. That's really good advertisement. But if you can't get local humans who live in your town to come and work out there, who don't want to go to the CrossFit games, now you're a cop that has this like fucking redheaded stepchild that you're sharing with two other dudes who you think it should be run this way, you think it should be run, and I think it should be run this way. So now we were friends, but now we're duking it out, right? Like that's the environment that was created. So CrossFit, even though they were a licensing program, should have said, hey, we're still going to give you guys protected territories. Keep you far enough away where you're allies and not enemies, number one. Number two, here's how to drive leads. Here's how to turn those leads into paying clients. If some of those clients want to go to CrossFit games, here's the path they take. Because if most people who open up a CrossFit were like, I like to work out like a savage, and then we're going to take people to the CrossFit games. There's not enough people in your town looking to go to CrossFit games to make you profitable. There just simply isn't. And unfortunately, it caught up to them. Now they're closing more stores than they're opening in the last 2 years. And it's an unfortunate thing. They can certainly survive out of it, but they got to change.
As a trainer and someone in the fitness industry, what's your general thoughts on CrossFit? And, it came in, kind of blazing about 10 years ago.
Yeah. My general thoughts on CrossFit as far as where the workouts are concerned, I don't think they're for the majority. I think they're for the gifted. Like real actual CrossFit, like you better have some strong connective tissue. Like, bro, I torn biceps and stuff, not even doing CrossFit. It's just, I wasn't breastfed. I always tell my wife, I wasn't breastfed as a child because my mom was in the hospital after giving birth to me. Long story. They gave me by the way, they called it rice milk. And I was like, what's rice milk, Dad? Right? He goes, oh, we boil the water with the rice and then your sister spoon feed you the milk, the rice milk. And I was like, first of all, rice don't have nipples, so there is no fucking rice milk. You're giving me rice milk. So literally, like, it wasn't even formula, bro.
It's rice water.
Yeah, it was rice water, right? It was fucking rice water. So if I catch a cold, I got that thing for a long time. So which is why I just try and keep my immune system strong so I don't catch a cold. And number one. Number two, like I can sneeze and I'll fucking snap a tendon. That's just, it's a given. CrossFit is not for me. But someone who's got thick tendons, fucking full muscle bellies, they had the right set of mom and dads, which I don't, where that's concerned, right? It's not for me, and it's not for the majority. But for the minority who wants to go nuts that way, it is for them. But when people are like, oh man, my buddy does CrossFit and he's a fucking gangster and he's going to the fucking locals and he's going to go nationals, so I'm going to go do it too. And then snap, there goes the fucking L4, L5, or there goes a fucking hamstring. And now it's like, you know what, man, I tried working out, but I got injured, so I'm fucking done. Yeah. And we don't need to give people more excuses to not work out, guys. Like there's our competition is not like, I'm not looking at CrossFit as competition or Orange Theory F45. People are like, well, who's your competition? Fucking McDonald's and Taco Bell and Coca-Cola and Doritos. Doritos has 3 scientists. One of them I met. I'm like, wait, you're a scientist? You work for Doritos. Tell me more. What do you do? Because I'm thinking like maybe packaging.
Yeah, make sure you keep eating it.
Yeah, exactly. His job is to make sure that fucking chip breaks down just right on your taste buds so you grab another. Now, we're in Fit Body Bootcamp or Orange Theory or Barry's Bootcamp or fucking F45 or any of these fucking brands. Do we have a scientist figuring out how you're going to come one more time this week? We don't. Fucking McDonald's. They know how the food breaks down in your mouth. They know what offers to show your kids on TV. Happy Meal, Daddy, fucking take me to right? Like they are fucking scientific about what they do. They are our competition. So if I hurt someone at a Fit Body Bootcamp, then that person's like, well, I tried working out, but I got hurt. And you know what people do now? Because they need attention. They then take their iPhone and they tell the world. I worked out and I got hurt. Very bad. Folks, be careful. They mean well, but I think they also want a little attention, but they mean well. Now, it's not just word of mouth anymore. It's world of mouth. And it spreads very quickly. And, oh, CrossFit hurt me. Oh, Fit Body Bootcamp hurt me. Oh, we don't need more of that. Let's take care of these fucking people. Let's take care of these people so they can actually say, hey, I lost weight. I got great results. I might refer a friend. That's my position.
I think that when like we're talking about all of this, right? And obviously you're a CEO of a massive company at this point. There are a lot of younger individuals because like I came up like Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian, first generation here. It's all academic here. Like if you want to be successful, you get a degree. You get a job after that. You move forward. Now, if someone's they don't even want to be an entrepreneur, but they want to be successful in some way. What is your take on education and how they should navigate that towards success? Coming from someone who's done all of the things that you've done, where do you think they should put their focus in terms of their education and their development?
Very, very good question. So I'm going to say this, and this always gets people all tightly wound up. I don't believe college is for the majority. I believe it used to be in the Industrial Revolution era when we were pumping out employees, pre-fucking apps and iPhones and all that stuff, right? We needed a machine that pumped out employees to count the fucking beans and to bolt on the things and the whatever. If you're going to be an engineer, a doctor, an attorney, go to college. That's the only way I'll let you fucking represent me in court or cut me open, right? Or help me build my house or a bridge. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to get an MBA. You're going to learn stuff from someone who professes. That's what a professor is. They profess, but they don't practice. You get an MBA from me, dude. You get an MBA from me. My body's covered with entrepreneurial scars. And I will tell you what's working now, today, not what worked 3 decades ago. The coders, well, I'm going to be a software programmer. Great. They have these fucking coding weekends at these universities where, on the weekends, universities are shut down. And these nerdy coders will like fill the place up and they'll teach the most cutting edge coding in one fucking weekend while they're still teaching C++ and fucking old school programming that doesn't even work on this stuff, right? And so then you come out that, well, I've got a degree in coding and well, what do you know? C++. Okay, we don't use C++ anymore. We're like beyond past Java now. We're fucking mobile responsive to so many fucking levels. All right, we'll have to pay for you to go to university, one of these coding universities on a weekend. So you're not even worth it, dude. I want a hacker. I want some kid who learned from YouTube. So most people should take the time and money they're going to invest in college, unless they're going to be in those little categories that I talked about, architect, accountant, like those degrees, doctor, attorney, judge, right? They need degrees. Otherwise, if you are going to be someone who's going to be a programmer, a personal trainer, a fucking entrepreneur, a chef, you don't need to go get a cooking, food science degree, exercise kinesiology degree for what? Like maybe if you're going to be a chiropractor, a physical therapist, okay, I can get that. But if you're going to go down the road of like being a great coach, just go get coached by a great coach, right? Go get coached by a great coach. Use that time and money, because the internet now has information like what's working now today. So you can find the right mentors and pay for them. You can time collapse. Instead of 4 years, it becomes like 4 months. It'll cost you less. It'll be more relevant information, and you will have a head start on life because you won't be in debt with 4 years of time behind you from college. Now people go, yeah, but what about the experience? What about learning? Like, well, you got a degree that shows that you put one foot in front of the other. Go fucking work out and build muscles. If you can all of us, which I know you have, so let me point at me. If I can have all of my six pack, not just the top two, if all of it come out, right? That just showed I can put one foot in front of the other. And I can do that in probably 8 weeks. And that showed I can put, I don't need you to get a degree, go fucking $300,000 in debt because you showed me that you can follow directions and put one foot in the front. I don't want people to follow directions. I want you to FIO, figure shit out. Right? Yeah. So I want you to figure it out. And if you have the ability to figure it out, problem solve, and never stop, I will hire you and teach you the skill. I've got Navy SEALs who came from combat, who I work with and work for me, because it's like, well, they know how to kill people and break down doors. They just don't stop. So they also know how. And I got one guy's a sniper, a former sniper, who now works for me. He's one of our best business coaches ever. He never, ever was in business. He just killed people from far away. Yet, because we put him inside of a Fit Body Boot Camp, and because he was just like relentlessly, I'm gonna learn more about this guy's Fit Body Boot Camp than he knows. Then he learned how to sell in there. He learned how to coach. He learned how to be the admin and called and dialed for dollars. He wasn't afraid of rejection. He doesn't give a fuck about rejection. He survived battle. Some of our best team members are just people who know how to problem solve and FIO, figure it out. And if you can figure it out, I will teach you a skill. It's as simple as that. So I don't. College is a waste of time, and it's the biggest fucking scam on the planet.
I need to take this whole section, cut it up, and send it to a bunch of my relatives and cousins.
Oh man,
because man, whew, yeah,
they'll still ask you, "Are you going to school in Nsima?"
I get that question all the time.
Yeah, kind of along those lines. We tell people all the time, like, you learn almost anything on YouTube, but very much like if you start training somebody for free, you know, they're like, "Oh, I'll follow you right now" or whatever. They'll show up, you know, every so often. They won't take it as serious. Whereas you say, okay, it's going to cost, you know, you said it's like $140 a month. It's like, okay, they're putting something in and now they're going to take it serious.
Yeah.
So like once somebody is like kind of like over the YouTube hump, you know, like what do you think is like the next step that somebody can take where they're actually going to start investing in themselves?
Then the next thing becomes go find someone who's doing it and work for them. Like literally get paid to learn. And I'll give you a great example. So I got 4, we call them the media team, 4 video picture, just as like you guys have, right? My highest paid guy, his name is Ed. No college degree, yet they have videography and photo degrees. He has no music experience, yet he's one of the most sought after DJs on the weekends in Southern California. He learned photography and to DJ. I go, Ed, where'd you learn all this from? YouTube, B. Because he's got the immigrant edge just like I do. He's an escapee from the Philippines, came out here as a kid, and he's not going to go to college and get a music degree or photography degree. He just was like, I want to do photography and I want to DJ. And so he's literally like shot Dr. Dre, P. Diddy, you name it, worked for Complex Magazine until they downsized, and then we're like, hey, dude, we gotta part ways with you. And then I scooped him up. I pay him an obscene amount of money. Most of the time he travels with me. He's just not here today because he's actually filming at a Fit Body Boot Camp on the other side of the country. The dude's a badass. My other 2 guys have cinematography degrees, right? And I love them, but they want to storyboard shit and da-da-da. Ed goes in there quick and dirty like a fucking Navy SEAL, like a little Filipino Navy SEAL. And like, I'll be going through TSA and he's fucking, by the time they're like, hey, put that away, he's taking fucking 30 shots. The other guys would want to literally get the LAX to fucking give us a permit to shoot and like, fuck that shit. Like I will always overpay Ed. I hope the other guys will. Fuck him. Ash Primo, here's a shout out to you guys. Ed, big shout out to you, bro. But like those guys are amazing. And we use them for other projects, right? They have their own scope, their own zone of genius. But dude, YouTube is where he learned. And then he went and worked for Complex Magazine and he learned from a professional until he got better than that professional. And then when he got let go during the downsizing era, I scooped him up. Like that, I mean, that's the next step. That's the next step. And he's like, dude, I can go be an entrepreneur and do my own thing, but I just love being part of this tribe that you've built, so let's do this. And anything I do, I got this thing called The Project. He'll be awake 75 hours with us when we do the project, because it's a 75-hour experience. He'll be awake fucking popping Adderall like we do, fucking shooting shit, drones flying all over fucking Chino Hills, the Chino State Prison. Like, you cannot have a fucking drone over the Chino State Prison. Ed doesn't give a fuck. Drones are flying over Chino State Prison because that's the footage we need. And that's what I love about that guy.
A lot of times educated people have an ability to point out the problem. So you'll say, hey, like, we need to shoot this thing. And they're like, well, the problem with that is, and you're like, well, I don't care about it. I realize there's problems in everything, right? Didn't need you to highlight that. Let's just figure out a way to get it done.
Yeah. We will ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Right.
That's it.
How many of your friends that are performing at a high level are willing to share themselves and share the information? Like everything you're just blurting out to us right here, right now. We know each other from today. I mean, we kind of know of each other, but we know each other from today. And here you are sharing all this information. Maybe there's somebody in your area that that's a distant relative or a friend of a friend or whatever. They want to take you to lunch and they want to learn about franchising, or they have this cool idea. How often does stuff like that happen?
My time's pretty limited these days,
Right.
as you saw, trying to book this, and I was like more than excited to come out here, but it's just so limited. But given the opportunity, I always do that, because Jim Franco didn't have to give me his time. He didn't have to give me his time. Like, he was paying me. Well, he was paying the gym. The gym was paying me $11.50 an hour to train him. But he would, if he was like my last client of that morning, he would literally hang out for an extra 20, 30 minutes and just teach me things. Like, he mentored me without me ever paying him. So what a fool I would be to spit on that by not doing that for someone else, right? And I think a lot more people need to own humility. We start drinking our own fucking Kool-Aid, we start believing our own hype, and we start fucking flying on private jets. You better know that you better show some humility for that, because that shit can get taken away very quickly. One fucking slap from the Federal Trade Commission, from the IRS, from the fucking wife with the divorce, from the whatever, it's over. Fucking another set of airplanes hitting some fucking World Trade Center towers. And it's fucking over. You better have an ally of people who believe in you, who support you, and who will lift you up when you fall, because right now I'm just in a winning phase. There's a losing phase coming. And for you, and for you, and for her, and him, and him. Just happen to be in a winning phase right now.
Thanks, bro.
It's coming.
This is the worst podcast we've ever done. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
It's a sad ending.
No,
but you know what I mean, right?
No, I totally.
But you need that losing phase, because
Totally
that
understand.
builds that. You need that adversity, because when you lift weights, do you always lift the same weight, or do you eventually go heavier?
Yeah, you're going to lift different things on different days. Yeah.
Right? Well, I need adversity to build my mental muscles, my emotional muscles, my entrepreneurial muscles. So I need the losing days to add the resistance that I need. If I want to look like him, I must use more resistance. If I want to squat and deadlift like you, I must use more resistance. Well, why do we think in life that doesn't apply in every other category? Like, I can't wait for winter to come. Tony Robbins says, prepare for winter, be built for winter. I'm fucking built for winter. All of us are. But we forget we have that warrior spirit in us.
Does that mean we need to fatten up?
God knows, give me some bagels and I can fatten up, man. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be tough enough to be able to get through those tough times.
The tough times are coming, man.
Come out the other end stronger. Anything else over there, Andrew?
No, man, this was awesome.
I do want to know about this, unless
What's up?
Yeah, go for
okay,
it.
No, go for
so you mentioned like the immigrant edge, the immigrant experience. Like, you had a hard life. What about individuals that like are listening? They're like, it's been kind of easy for me up until this point. Like, I haven't had much adversity. How can they build that grit that you have naturally to just work hard if they don't feel like they're a hard worker?
Good question. And listen, as much as I had the immigrant edge and was fucking tough as nails and all this, I started feeling soft. And that's when I started doing those challenges, like to build grit. Because let me tell you, when you tell everyone, your coaching clients or business partners, that, hey, in 6 weeks I'm running the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon, and you hire a coach who happens to be your client, right? Her name is Jill Brewer, runwithjill.com. And so I'm like, Jill, I taught you how to become a running coach. Now in 6 weeks, I need to run the marathon. She goes, oh, half marathon. Yeah, we could do that. It's pushing it. But no, a full marathon, 26.2 miles. She goes, no, you can't do that. You're going to have like bone fractures and fucking hairline fractures in your ankle. You're just too big. It's not going to happen. Like, Jill, I'm paying you and I need you to help me. And so when at week number 4, the program says run 8 miles, not walk, not drive, run 8 miles. I'm like, fuck. Last week I was doing 6 and I was just out of breath. And I was doing it late at night because tuck my kids to bed, hang out with the wife for an hour. Then 11 o'clock comes, she goes to bed. Then I would put on my Brooks, and I would, cause I pronate. Brooks is like for heavy pronators. Yeah, they're like old man shoes, but it's like that's what I needed. And so I would put on the Brooks and I'd go running it from like 11 to 1 a.m. Right? I didn't want to do that, and I wanted to just stop at mile number 5 and then lie and say that I went 26 or 8 miles that day. And I even remember one time fabricating a story in my head, like, all right, I'll just go and hang out outside for a few hours, come back in, that in case the wife hears, and then on marathon day, about 10 miles in, fake an injury. These are the fucking talks I had with myself. Everyone battles and negotiates with the inner bitch and the beast, right? And the inner bitch was like, just cut it short. Just fake an injury. So if you want to get toughen up again, I'm happy that you were raised in America. I'm happy that you weren't fucking molested and raped and beaten and abused. I'm happy for you, but you need to toughen up. So put yourself through challenges. Go do the project. Go do a rucksack thing. And then after that, go do another fucking rucksack thing. And then hire someone to become, you never power lifted because you're weak? Go fucking learn to power lift in 6 weeks. Do those things that will cause you to want to not come. There was days I drive to my gym because we would do the jiu-jitsu in my gym. We bought mats. And I knew Coach Pete was there, and he drove an hour to go there from Temecula to Chino Hills. Yet I was like, okay, I'm just going to text him and say, hey, man, busy day, da-da-da. You know why? Because it's fucking uncomfortable, dude. Yeah. It fucking hurts. I'm not too bendy and flexible. And as you know, you got to be bendy and flexible for jiu-jitsu. And I was still in pain from the last session. And so I wanted to like, don't be a fucking bitch. Don't let the bitch win. Show up. And those are the things that built grit. Those are my secret powers that help me succeed in business and coach people and just have this fucking savage mindset. So even if you were born in a fucking bed of roses and flowers in summertime, you could go look for the winter and put yourself through it. Not enough people do. They just want to stay bubble wrapped.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Where can people find you?
Instagram. I love hanging out on Instagram. It's probably the best place to find me, at Bedros Keuilian.
It's been awesome to have you on the show. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you all later.